list a thing before the movie bucket list?
Maybe?
I only heard it after that, but maybe that just popularized it?
Probably.
What's on your bucket list? Do you have anything on there?
Sleep on a train.
It's not great. It's quite terrible, actually.
But like in a sleeper car?
Okay, yeah, I guess.
Like in like the fancy train. Like a train. Like I know we could afford to sleep on a train right now, but like I'm thinking like the luxury like sleeping car.
I want to burn someone in effigy. I've never burned an effigy before.
Oh.
Seems fun. Every time I see it, it looks like a good time.
Oh. It looks like there's lots of dancing involved.
Sure, yeah, like dancing, celebrating, maybe shooting guns in the air.
Maybe some drinking.
Probably. I think you have to be at least a little drunk before you get to the point where you're building an effigy of someone. I think while you build the effigy, because it's a craft time. Yeah. You're drinking one for that.
Oh, I could get into that.
And then you burn the effigy while drunk, I assume.
And what would your effigy be of?
The Queen of Genovia, Mia Thermopolis. Down with the tyrant.
Oh my god.
Oh, welcome everyone to another episode of I Love This, You Should Too. And we're part of the Alberta Podcast Network, which is locally grown and community supported. My name is indeed Down with the Tyrant Randawa, and with me is my lovely co-host, Samantha Sparkly Tiara Hees.
Oh, I should have put my tiara on.
No podcasting in tiaras. It's so hot today. I'm going to tell you something out there, podcast audience. You don't want to know, and this is something that I do not want to tell you, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm not wearing a shirt right now. It's so hot.
It is so hot. It's another really hot week, and this will go down in history as a hot summer.
Wow.
This is why I'm not a weather
What a
person.
pronouncement. It was hot that summer. I think it actually is the hottest on record.
Yes, we're breaking
so that's
records
one, you
daily.
could say it that way, not just a hot summer.
I was trying not to be sensationalist.
But it literally
and
is
I undershot
the hottest ever.
Yes, I know. I really undershot it because I was trying not to be like, whoa.
It's the hottest since 1910 when all of the records burned in that heat wave.
Oh, that's what happened.
We have no records before that.
I thought we just didn't care about weather.
Well, today we are going to be talking about The Princess Diaries, a favorite of Samantha's, at least when she was 15, possibly still, and something that I'm watching for the first time. But before we get into that, Samantha has a word from one of our sponsors.
Yes, this episode of I Love This, You Should Too is brought to you by the Business Council of Alberta. If you are passionate about Alberta and its future, check out The Brief, an Alberta Better podcast series presented by the Business Council of Alberta. Co-hosts of The Brief, Sean Crockett and Brittany Brander, talk to Alberta's business leaders, innovators, disruptors, and entrepreneurs about the big challenges Albertans are facing, from unemployment to childcare to mental health and economic diversification. They also celebrate the stories of growth, innovation, prosperity, and discover bold ideas that aim to make life better for Albertans. You can find new episodes of The Brief on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this episode. You can also listen at businesscouncilab.com/Alberta Better Podcast. That's businesscouncilab.com/Alberta Better Podcast. New episodes drop every other Tuesday.
Nice. I'm going to have to check that out. Which one of those categories do you fall into? I think I'm a business disruptor. Because I like to go in and just like, hey, what are you guys doing? And it's like knock things on the ground, just really disrupt things.
I don't think that's what they mean by disruptor.
I'm pretty sure it is. You know what? Let's listen to the podcast and find out.
They'll probably describe it to us.
Well, Samantha, let's get into it. The Princess Diaries. First off, it's your pick. Mm-hmm. But does it hold up for you? Did it bring out your 15-year-old self again?
Yes. I am still so very into this movie.
Like, completely?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's aged, obviously, but I don't...
As have we all.
As have we all. Yes.
Some more than others.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, be so much older than you in a couple of years. You'd think it'd be the same gap?
Yeah.
But I'm aging much harder. much harder aging than you.
That sounds painful.
It is. It is constant pain. My back hurts right now.
I know. So I definitely felt the age that it's from. I think that some parts of it, like the fashion and some of the things that the actors are saying, don't really sound right now, like current.
Oh, okay, I'm going to ask you about that a little more later, because I'm curious to what you think didn't age well.
But overall, I think that there isn't too many, like, cringe moments where things are, like, no longer politically correct.
Okay,
like,
I'll agree with that.
Some of the movies from this time that I've brought to you, I feel like there's some things that are a little cringeworthy, because we're not saying things openly anymore.
Wait, you just say it when no one's around.
No. I just meant like you're not using it in common conversation.
So you just have it like in private conversations.
I just go into the bathroom at work and scream it.
Oh, what are you saying?
I'm kidding.
When you keep saying it kind of sounds like you're talking about the N-word.
No. I don't actually have a word that I would use as an example. And I don't go into the bathroom and scream.
At least nothing bad.
Nothing bad.
You're just happy when you go in the bathroom and scream.
Yeah. It's a happy scream.
I vouch for Samantha. She sleeps next to me and she does talk in her sleep. She does not use any offensive words.
Really?
Yeah.
What do I usually say?
You kind of sound like you're having a stroke. You're like, Tramsin on the Pulver Darbin. And I'm like, what about Tramsin on Purple Darbin? Screamo Mentavar. And I'm like, oh, okay. Thanks for pointing that out. And then you'll be like, Screebadoo, Harbishamala.
Is that more creepy or less creepy than when I just laugh in my sleep?
Less. Yeah, when you laugh, that's creepy. Yeah, like that.
The point of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I brought you the 2001 hit movie, The Princess Diaries. Did you love it?
I did not.
Oh, no.
I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I didn't love it.
Okay.
And I think this episode is going to do something bad because I think this movie, the more you think about it and the more you talk about it, the worse it gets.
Oh, no.
During the movie, I was liking it. Right after, I thought about things and I was like, oh, yeah, that was dumb. Why would they do that? And then today I sat down to write some notes and I was just getting like progressively more angry. I'm like, yeah, they shouldn't have done that. This was stupid. Why did this happen? So I think it's a movie that is best enjoyed once and ideally in 2001 when you're 14.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if this movie will gain new fans.
Okay.
Even amongst 14-year-old girls.
Really?
Because I truly believe I have two like nieces that are between 12 and 15. I feel like that's the target audience. I think they would not like this movie at all.
Interesting. Okay. I don't totally disagree with you. I think this was a different kind of generation.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I think, yeah, there must be some generational gaps, and I think a lot of the messaging in this movie is antiquated a bit, and when I talk to kids today, and I talk to a lot of kids from my work, they're a little more on top of things than we were, I think.
Kids who are 14 now are very different from when we were 14,
I think they're often like I was when I was 14, but I was a weirdo then. But being like socially progressive and conscious when I was 14... not the norm, but today it definitely is. So I wonder if a lot of these messages would not be the greatest. But we'll get into all of that kind of stuff. But overall, it's fun. It's an enjoyable movie in a lot of ways. It has some good performances, some less good. But I just think it wasn't as clear and focused as it could have been.
Okay.
So I'm not saying like this is a garbage movie, they should all feel ashamed of themselves. I'm saying I was most frustrated because it feels like this could have been made much better with small changes.
Right. Okay. I'm interested to know what those changes are. As long as you don't get very, very angry.
Well, that's the other part now. In a movie like this, I'm going to have like one rant about what's wrong with it in a philosophical way.
Okay.
Should I do that right off the beginning or save it to the end?
Why don't you start with that now?
Okay. And then we will not touch on this kind of more serious problem with the movie, and we'll just talk about like light little fun things after this.
Yes, exactly.
How long do I get? Like 3 minutes?
Do you want me to set a timer?
No, I just need to ballpark it.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
First off, this movie perpetuates a very classic thing that there's no progress without conforming to accepted beauty standards. Curly hair is bad. You should feel bad if you have it. Thick eyebrows are bad. You're pretty much worthless if you have those as well. The narrative isn't like, be who you are and you will succeed. It's not that at all, which should be the narrative of a movie about a 15-year-old discovering who she really is. That should be the narrative, but instead it's conform to our beauty standards and then you'll have a chance of success. But then when you watch a movie like this, you just have to think, like, what about all of us who are those perpetual before pictures? Like, I'm not going to be that after picture. The point of this movie is anyone can be beautiful, but that's not true. Not everyone is going to look like Anne Hathaway.
Right.
You're just not. And the majority of 15-year-old girls watching this, I don't think they are going to be like, yeah, I can look like that too. They'll just be like, well, what do I do? I'm the before. Mm-hmm. I'll always be the before. And I wish we could change that way of thinking. I guess we're getting into a point now where people are like, everything is beautiful. And that's a great way of thinking, but I personally don't subscribe to that. I'm kind of like, why does it matter?
Right.
One of the other big differences between you and I, you're very physically attractive. I am not. Aww. But I'm fine with it.
But you are.
In your mind, but you have bad taste in it. And I'm thankful for that.
I do not.
In their physical appearance, when you tell me which celebrities you think are attractive, I'm like, oh, no. And she thinks I'm good looking, so that's not...
Reeves?
Oh, well, okay, I'll give you that one. That's true. But what I'm saying is we're getting into this thinking now of, like, everyone is beautiful. I don't think we need to do that. I think we should just say, it doesn't matter. I'm not a good-looking guy. That's fine. I got other good things going for me. I can cook. You might not know it from this podcast. I'm quite nice. I have lots of things. I listen to people's stories and I care deeply.
You grow a good beard.
I grow a good beard. Yeah, not very good looking, but that's fine.
Extremely good looking.
That's your opinion and it is a minority opinion.
Okay.
But either way, I think that is a valuable message, but that's not going to be a message in something like this. And then I have to talk about monarchies in general, very briefly, because that is kind of at the heart of the problem of this movie. And it's not just like, oh, Indy doesn't like monarchies. It's the message that what you do doesn't matter as long as you have the right blood in you. It's genetic that you're chosen to be a good person or a bad person. And that's a part of this movie. And I know you don't want to think about that because you're like, yeah, but that's not really what it's about. But at the heart of the movie, it really is. And one of the things that upsets me most about like all the YA fiction I read is that the talented or magical kid is just born with those natural powers. They don't do anything to earn it or distinguish themselves through any sort of like a character development. And that's why I was disappointed with the last trilogy of Star Wars when they said, oh, actually, Rey is from a line of powerful people. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you say that anyone can have that power? Why do we perpetuate this idea that only the powerful can beget more powerful people? Mm-hmm. You can only be good if you come from someone good. And being good isn't what you do with your character, but rather who you were born as.
Right.
And that's damaging in so many ways. Like, this is a plot for the 1400s when the only upward mobility is just finding out you belong to a rich family. That's the only way you get ahead. And because those people are better than you and they were chosen by God because they're royal, so that's why they deserve those things. And like that whole idea that some people are just better is epitomized by monarchies, and it continues today from like companies suggesting that we should be thankful to work for them. And like any company that does that, fuck them. Like, It's the opposite. You should be thanking us for working for you. Yeah. or like any sort of celebrity who we think their opinions matter. Like, hey, you're great at playing guitar. What kind of coffee do you drink? It doesn't matter. Why do we think that people who are good at one thing are good at all things and their opinions mean more than ours? So there you go. That's my big rant. I don't like the idea that you are just born better than someone. And this movie does perpetuate that. I don't think they're doing it very intentionally. I think they're a product of that way of thinking. And then because of that, they're also perpetuating that whole thing.
I think you need to breathe. Did you breathe through that whole speech?
I don't have time to breathe, Samantha. I'm full of rage and chocolate milk.
It's true. He did just drink chocolate milk.
I love it. It's the only thing that calms my rage.
Oh, too much rageahol.
I can't live without rageahol.
I know you
Or chocolate milk. I'm a rageaholic. All right, well, that's all my serious stuff out of the way. Do you have any response to that, or just moving on?
I think we'll just move on.
All right, there you have it. Samantha admits that I am right by refusing to rebut me.
We'll see. So I think we need to start our discussion off with going over kind of the main characters.
Sure.
And then we'll kind of move into plot. But this movie stars a young Anne Hathaway who plays Mia Thermopolis. What did you think of Anne Hathaway?
I thought she's quite good. I don't think she reached peak charm Anne Hathaway that we see in, like, what, Ella Enchanted a couple of years later. But I think film debut, I thought she was quite good. How'd you like her performance?
I really like her, and I didn't realize this was like her first big movie that she'd done, and I think she seems like a natural. Like, it makes sense that she's so popular now because she's just a good actress.
Yes, and I think also some of her natural awkwardness is probably coming through as well.
Yeah, you can definitely see that a little bit, her kind of awkwardness and like unpolishedness, because I feel like at this stage in her career she might not have been as polished as she is now.
Definitely.
So Mia is the Princess of Genovia. She has no style and gets a big makeover. What did you think of the makeover montage?
I thought it was a wasted opportunity.
I agree.
It was not as good as it could be. I think it was still one of the highlights of the movie. But a makeover montage, that's when you really have fun with it. And they did a little, like, oh, the brush broke in her hair because it's curly and curly people should be ashamed of themselves.
Nobody said that.
The movie totally says that. Absolutely, 100% it does say that.
Okay.
But I don't know, it wasn't as fun as it could have been, along with like the lessons that she gets from her grandmother. I was really thinking there's going to be lots of fun bits there, and that's kind of one of those parts where it's not bad.
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been heightened.
Absolutely. I think they could have had a little bit more fun with it, but I think that they were trying to stay very true to the book.
Were they? Because I just did a little bit of research about the book, and I just kind of looked up changes they made, and it seems like they changed it drastically.
Maybe I haven't read the book in 20 years.
It could be.
But, yeah, I definitely think that they could have had a little bit more fun with it. I mean, they put this over-the-top character in there with these two, like, very bored-looking models.
Oh, Paolo.
Paolo.
Let's talk about Paolo for a quick minute here. I forget that actor's name, but I think he was also in Pretty Woman. Oh, yeah, this is just, like, a Pretty Woman for teenagers.
Yeah.
But, like, it has the same characters. Like, actors.
Does it?
Yeah. I think Pretty Woman's better, but we'll talk about that later. But yet although one of the funnier parts was also pretty bad, because he had an accent, usually, but it varied from Italian to Eastern European to just not having one. It was kind of just all over the place.
It was very all over the place, but I think that was supposed to be part of his character because he's clearly putting on this facade.
Oh, so you think Paolo is an American pretending to be Italian?
Yes.
Whoa. I think you might be giving it too much credit.
I think, and maybe I am, but I think that he knows that all, like, you know, the best salon stylists and everything are...
But he is. He's the stylist to the royal family.
Yeah.
So they gotta check those credentials. We're like, wait a minute, this is just some guy from Jersey that we picked up off the turnpike.
I still think that he's like really hamming it up. Like he's putting it on to make himself seem like more than he is. Maybe he does have an accent. Maybe he is like Paolo. But I think that he's turning it up to like 20.
I think the actor is, not the character. We've kind of switched spots because often I'll watch a movie like this and think like, oh no, they're being ironic. And you're like, there's no irony in this movie. But now you think there is. Interesting.
I'm slowly turning into you.
Yeah. Yeah, your beard's coming in nicely.
I don't have a beard.
I appreciated what he was doing, though, because I thought I would have enjoyed if more of the characters really went for it like he did. He wasn't great, but he was going for it, and I appreciate that at least.
Yeah, I thought that would be where they would put more funny things in, especially because Mia is kind of at their mercy at that point. Mm-hmm. So if they do something funny and hijinksy, it's like...
Remember when he sees her and shrieks in terror?
Yeah.
He's like, oh my god, curly hair! He's frightened of her. She's so grotesque, this Anne Hathaway.
Beautiful Anne Hathaway.
So this character of Mia, did you relate to her? Did you see yourself as a Mia type?
I think especially when I first read and saw this I was very awkward, and
I think you were just 15.
Yeah.
So that's kind of built-in awkwardness.
Yes, for sure. But I definitely felt the things that she feels in this movie of like not fitting in and not being stylish and cool and having it seem like Lana and her gang of girls are just like effortlessly cool and it just comes to them. I
would have assumed you were more of a Lana type.
I was not.
You were Miss Cheerleader.
I was only a cheerleader in high school.
Oh, so 17-year-old you was a Lana.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Those 2 years, you went from a Mia to a Lana.
I did.
Wow.
As all girls do.
I don't know about that. I don't think that's the case. I think there's a lot of Mias out there.
And that's okay.
Oh, thank you. I thank you on behalf of all of the Mias that you permit their existence.
Oh my god, you're making me sound really bad again.
You're the one that said you were a total Lana.
I was in high school, yeah.
Oh, were you mean?
No.
You're like a nice Lana.
Yeah, I just had nice hair. I figured out the hair thing and makeup.
And as we know, that's all that it takes to make you a good person.
Very true. Very true. So really, I just became after Mia.
So Mia is so nervous that she can't make a speech. She throws up, but she also can just like wisecrack real quick.
Yeah.
And she's so awkward and gawky that she's falling off of everything and she can't hit a baseball. Also, she's a professional rock climber.
Yeah.
She works at a rock climbing gym?
Yes.
That seems like an odd choice.
Yeah, it does.
To go out of your way to say this person is the least athletic person ever. Oh, what's their job? Oh, they work in a rock climbing gym.
I think that's just a different set of skills.
True. Yeah, I'm not saying that being a good rock climber makes you good at baseball. That's clearly not the case.
It's the opposite of
what
true.
I'm saying is her defining characteristic is awkwardness.
True.
So it seems like an odd choice to make her like hobby and profession something that takes coordination.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
It's just an odd choice. When that scene happened, I didn't even realize that was her job. I thought even without the rock climbing part of it, it was such an awkward scene. It didn't need to be in the movie at all. I said to you, like, why are they doing this right now?
Yeah, you're like, why was that scene there? And I agree with you. I think that could have been at home. It could have been, like, send them out for dinner. Like,
do something that accentuates what you were trying to make this character. Mm-hmm. Because if you're trying to show that she's, like, multifaceted and not one thing, this is your only time where you try to show that. The rest of the time you're trying to say that she is only one thing. Mm-hmm. So it's muddled.
I agree. Should we talk about Mia's best friend, Lily Moskowitz?
Oh, Lily.
I know you have some things to say about her.
She's a fucking jerk.
Yeah, she is.
She's an asshole, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She is. And Mia should have better friends.
So now, since you're thinking a lot of this movie might be more self-referential than I assumed it was, do you think we are not supposed to like Lily? Because I think she's supposed to be likable, but she just isn't.
Yeah, I think that the writing for the movie and the way that it's acted definitely makes her more of a jerk than she was in the books. I don't think that they did any good by writing and directing her that way.
Because from my understanding, Mia also in the novels was a much more opinionated, strong-willed character than she is here.
Yeah.
And she was kind of fighting some of the makeover, and she's like a passionate vegetarian, things like that, which they glossed over or just cut out completely in the book or in the movie. So then Lily maybe seems more harsh because we don't have that more balanced take of Mia.
True. I think that's very true. Yeah, because their characters are different. And I like what you said about balance, because she definitely is too meek to Lily's like crazy over the top opinionated self.
Right after she gets her makeover, Mia gets her makeover, Lily is so mean to her.
That was very mean, yes. But that does happen in the book.
In this one, it seemed to come out of nowhere a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I assume that in the book, there was more talk about those pretty girls over there and we're different and we're like solidarity between us because we'll never be like that. Then it doesn't come across in the movie. I think you can project it upon the movie and assume that these characters believe those things, but it's never clear. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of this movie, the choices aren't strong to build these characters. I feel like you could have had scenes with the bullies and have some conversation between the two best friends about why they don't want to be like that. And then maybe her reaction would seem like it's coming from somewhere, that coming from a sense of betrayal because she feels like Mia's leaving her behind and joining them. Yes. Which, if I look into it, I can kind of see that, but you have to do a lot of digging to see it in the movie version.
I definitely think that they cut out the way that the book communicates Mia's kind of backstory and her interaction with Lana, because there's more of that, because the book is literally her diary. Right. So you get her thoughts and feelings about everything that's happening, whereas with the movie, it's not really her diary until the end. Mm-hmm. So you don't get those kind of intimate thoughts. You're left to kind of figure that out on your own. And I think that's something that the movie lost, was that inference of how Mia feels to go to that high school and to be I think she's kind of bullied by Lana and them, and more than she is in the movie, and more off the bat.
Yeah, because in the movie, if it had some sort of maybe voiceover, then we would have that direct line to what she's thinking like you do in the books. Yes. But in this, we just have to see what's happening on screen. And the bullying here is comically over the top and terrible, of course, but it doesn't seem as rooted in reality. So I don't follow along with Lily's journey about feeling that Mia is betraying her by looking this way. It just comes off as that she's a jerk. Yeah. And she also does that bit about just get over your dead dad already. It's been 2 months.
That was the worst.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
And that's just a throwaway line for the movie.
Yeah.
Which is too much.
Have you seen the movie Saved?
Yes.
Isn't it her in that as well?
Mandy Moore?
Well, both Lily and Lana, I think, are both in Saved, playing the same characters.
Are they?
I seem to remember that.
Yeah, kind of basically.
I think I like Saved better.
I haven't seen it in probably 15 years.
I think Saved is the kind of ironic take on a lot of these sort of things, but without the whole Pygmalion makeover thing. Right. Also, the actor who plays Lily, I thought she was just bad, too. And I don't want to say that because she's a kid, right? But I couldn't understand her a lot of the time.
She spoke without punctuation, you said at one point.
Yeah, she just says the words and puts pauses in arbitrarily, not when there's periods or commas.
Yeah.
She was also ADR'd a lot, so it must have been ADR, for those of you, in case you're not aware. You gave me a look, so I thought I should explain it. It's when you dub over your lines or add things in after the fact, like your audio isn't recorded then. And that seemed to happen quite a few times with her. So I'm wondering if they had trouble just her getting those lines out.
Maybe.
Maybe it was new braces or something, I don't know. But she was, I thought, not great to hear.
Yeah, I definitely think I want to see her in something else, and maybe it'll be me rewatching Saved because I haven't seen that in forever, and I remember liking it. I definitely think that she may just be better later on in her career.
Well, she got this big budget Disney movie. She must have been doing pretty okay for herself.
True, very true. Should we talk about Lana and the Lynettes?
Oh, yes,
Anna,
please.
Lana, and Fontana.
Fontana?
Fontana.
I've never heard that name.
Yeah, me neither. I don't actually think it's a name.
So if you recall last episode, I said, I think this will happen. And I was, 99% correct? Like, you're really correct.
Yeah, you were. That's why I refused to comment on it, because I didn't want to, lie to you. Because you've called me out for that.
You did that before. I called everything right, and then you said, that's not what happens, you dummy.
I never said you dummy.
It was implied with your eyes.
No, it was not.
See those eyes right there?
I'm
those
not
are the
making
dummy
any eyes.
But given the nature of this movie and Anne Hathaway being the lead, I assumed that Mandy Moore would have to be some sort of bully figure, and that was the case. She does it well. I think she was good. I think the lines she was working with were pretty rough.
Yeah.
But she did fine.
I like seeing Mandy Moore at this age. I've watched her in a lot of things kind of recently, and I really enjoy her later music. And so I like seeing her at this age because this is peak Mandy Moore. This is her in the middle of her pop career, and she's at her most popular.
I don't know much late Mandy Moore, and I don't know her music at all.
She's more folky and melodic now.
Oh, that sounds nice.
You'd probably like it. It's very soothing, and she's a very good songwriter, and I think that it's a completely different artist from this girl on the stage singing Stupid Cupid.
Oh, another Connie Francis hit. I only knew Mandy Moore from Saved and as the dumpster girl from Snowflake Day.
What's the dumpster girl from Snowflake Day?
Oh, she plays a girl who lives in a dumpster on I think it's Snowflake Day, that holiday in winter that's non-denominational.
What?
There's a bunch of clones in it. One person out there will know what I'm talking about. Be like, yeah, that was pretty good.
Will it be Galen?
Yeah, I don't know if you'll listen to this.
So should we talk about the Coppola in the movie?
Oh, the Schwartzman.
Yes.
It's odd that you said, and he's kind of related to the Coppolas, instead of saying, oh, it's Jason Schwartzman's little brother.
Yeah. But we were talking about,
the Schwartzmans, the Coppolas, the Schreiers? Talia Shire. That one.
Okay, I'm not sure which one it is. But yeah, so Michael Moskowitz.
Again, this is just one that it wasn't clear what they were going for until later in the movie. The first time you see him, he looks at Mia, and I said, oh, that's going to be the love interest. And it's clear, so it's not like it's hidden, but it wasn't clear what their arc or their story was. Mm-hmm. It was they both kind of knew each other, and then he liked her but didn't say anything, and then he liked her and did say something. Is that the arc?
I think so.
It's not a great arc.
So in the book, he's supposed to be 2 years older, and he's a senior, and he goes off to college, I think, in the second or the third book. So it's a little bit more forbidden romance because he's so much older than Mia, And
I don't like that.
not like gross older, but like there's
2 years is it's both not unreasonable, but seems like a big difference when you're like
when
16.
you're in high school, for sure. And that's part of her struggle too, right? Because she's like, well, he's my best friend's brother, and he's also like way older, so why would he be interested in me? Because I'm just like 2 years younger than him, and she worries that he's gonna go away to school and she'll never see him, and he's a lot more like introvert, so she thinks he's like dark and brooding and like mysterious.
That's also unclear if he's supposed to be like a cool musician, or if he's like a loser, or if he's a loner, if he's just a brooding handsome guy. It's not clear how this world perceives him.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know of Anne Hathaway being regarded as just like a disgusting human, their perception is not the same as ours, so I'm not sure what we're supposed to think of him. What is he supposed to be in the movie?
In the movie, it's very hard to tell, because he does seem to have like a coolness that he doesn't have in the books. So I think, yeah, they needed to kind of pick one thing and stick to it, because he was a little all over the place.
Because just if at the beginning you have him kind of pining over her and her being oblivious because she's into that like douchebag guy, that's not an original arc, but it is an arc.
Yeah.
So then when he has the courage to say something to her, like, he's overcome something. There you go. That's enough to appease me in a movie like this. But they don't even do that much.
Yeah.
It was just they didn't choose either way. They just kind of played a lot of things middle of the road and just figured like, oh, you know these movies, so you know what to do with it. And they kind of put the onus on us to imbue them with these qualities, and rather than doing it in the movie.
Right. Yeah, I think that could have been a little bit more clear. Like lots of things in this movie. I feel like they did about 60% of the work.
Just make everything bigger.
Yeah. Just go for it. Go ahead.
You're doing a silly, fun movie. Make it sillier and make it more fun.
I think you might like the second one better.
Oh, is that what we're doing next?
It's got Chris Pine in it.
Oh, young Chris Pine.
Young Chris Pine. So
who's that, Captain Kirk?
I think so, yeah. I get all the Hollywood Chris's mixed up.
Me too.
Especially since so many of them are in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
I think Chris Pine is my favorite Chris, though.
Oh, I like Thor. Isn't he a Chris?
Hemsworth?
Is that Chris Hemsworth?
Chris Hemsworth, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a close second for me.
I like him better.
Yeah. What's the other Chris?
Captain America, isn't he one? And then there's Star-Lord.
Oh my god, why do they only hire guys named Chris?
Is Captain America a Chris? I don't actually know.
I'm
what
gonna
his
look
name
it up
is.
now, because now I'm gonna wonder.
And he was also the old Human Torch. So it's like double Marvel. And then Chris Pine is also in DC in the Wonder Woman stuff. And I think Thor...
Oh yeah, Chris Evans.
Thor may have played Captain Kirk's dad in that one too. So they're both Star Trek as well. Is that true? That can't be right. But let's move on, because this isn't our other podcast, Keeping Up with the Chris's, which you can listen to every Tuesday.
My book club had a full day-long conversation about which Chris was the best Chris. Okay, so what were we talking about?
Oh, the love interest and why he has M&Ms on his keyboard?
Yeah, that seemed so cool when I was 14.
You know what I was about to say is like, if you were 14, you'd be like, oh, he's cool and quirky, but it's dumb.
It is dumb as an adult. It's so dumb as an adult.
Why wouldn't he eat them? If it's like,
well, he does eat them at the end of the song.
Put them in a fucking bag. Put them in your pocket.
What? No, he's playing piano. He's getting really hot. They just melt into his pocket.
They melt in your mouth, not in your hands. That's what Eminem's slogan is.
Really?
Yeah. So this might all be wrong. But I have a feeling it's right. I think M&Ms were developed for the military because they would often carry chocolate with them, but chocolate, just as it is, would melt. So they put this hard candy coating on it so it would not melt, and then they could still eat their delicious chocolates.
Okay, fact checkers for the podcast. I want to know if this is true, because that is a great story, and I love it.
Samantha will never check, so she'll never know.
No, I will.
I don't think you will.
I will.
I say things like this to you daily. You never question them. Maybe I'm lying all the time.
I think you might be.
No, I'm never lying. If I lie, I admit it right away, and therefore it's not lying, it's joking. That's what I hold to. If you admit it within a minute, then you're not lying, you're joking.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
Is that the rule?
Yeah, that's a rule. I read that rule. Just kidding, I didn't. See? Joking. Should we move on from him?
Yeah, let's talk about the other love interest in the movie, Josh Bryant.
I don't know. I don't have too much to say. He was like a douchey surfer guy. He did that all right. He played it very big, like Paolo big. Yeah. Which maybe would be all right in Bring It On. Yeah. Because that's a bigger, more
characterized movie.
Yeah. Yeah. This one, only like a third of the cast did that, so it seemed maybe a little too big, but I don't know. I liked what he was doing. I hated him, so that's good, because he's what you're supposed to.
He really leaned into the role, and he did a very good job. He was like probably one of the best performances for me.
Whoa.
Not like the best, but he's definitely like top 10.
Top 10 in a movie with like 14 people? I concur.
What I'm saying is
You liked him.
I liked him.
That's fair.
Maybe I'm taking this, like, it's the hottest summer ever thing too far now. I need to tone it back again.
Yeah, he was good. He had fun with it.
He did. And it was exactly what you needed in that character. Yeah. Because he's not someone that we need a lot of character development for, because he's mostly, like, the hair and the tan, right? Like...
I totally agree, and I like that he went big, but wouldn't it have been a more interesting movie if through the first half he's just like a handsome guy that's aloof and we don't know about him, and then we wouldn't feel weird about Mia being in love with him because he's terrible. She knows he's terrible and still loves him.
Yeah, in the books, she like idolizes him and doesn't really see past her like quiet love for him. Mm-hmm. Whereas in this movie, she does notice a lot more of his bad things.
Because we don't have that internal monologue. Yes. We only have what is on screen, and he's terrible on screen. So then it feels weird that she's still in love with him. Like, if he were more quiet through the first half and just associated with the bad people, with the bullies, we could see where she's coming from, and then it would be more of a journey when she realizes that he is an asshole, and then, like, realizes that looks aren't everything, and moves on. But she always knew he was, but then as soon as it's, like, more directed at her, then
it's a
she's
surprise.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, it's just a little bit
we
unclear.
lose the infatuation that she has with him because we only really get that one or two moments of her, like, daydreaming about it. Whereas in the book, you get an entry, multiple entries a day. And sometimes they're just all about him. And so you really get to know that she's in it deep.
I think that would help us see him through her perspective, which you don't get here. You only get this objective camera, and he seems to be irredeemable. Yes. So it's a confusing thing to have her love him.
Yeah. I think they needed to structure this movie a little bit differently.
Yeah, and you made a point of saying it doesn't lag at all. It's 2 hours, but it's quick. I disagree. I think there are many scenes that could have been cut out of this movie. There's so much of the school stuff that means nothing. It doesn't help at all. It just goes to show that, like, the bullies are bullies. And, like, yeah, we got that after one. I don't know why we had to keep going back to it. And, like, oh, she's clumsy. Here's her being clumsy here. Here's her being clumsy on a baseball diamond. How about on a bench? It just reiterated the things we knew, but didn't provide any sort of nuance to them or, like, new information. Right. Which I felt I needed because there wasn't a whole lot to go on. It's just the same things over and over again.
Very true. But when I was 14, I didn't think that.
That's fair. Maybe I should do my favorite movie when I was 14.
Sure. Is it Mac and Me?
No, I actually...
Maximum Overdrive.
That came later. I loved both Menace to Society and Clockers.
I have never heard of either of those.
Clockers is a Spike Lee movie. I want to watch both of them actually now and see if I still love them. Clockers I thought was amazing. It was heartbreaking, but it was so good. And Menace to Society.
Well, maybe we should do that.
It was... when I can, like, track my favorite movies. It was Ninja Turtles for a good while. Yeah. Because, I was, like, 5, 6 when it came out.
Yeah.
Then I got into Top Gun for a while. As like a 7, 8-year-old, I loved Top Gun.
Really?
Yeah. 8-year-old planes and stuff. That's
I
really
guess.
pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that makes sense.
I was also a big Righteous Brothers fan, so that worked out.
Really?
Maybe? I think because of Top Gun.
Okay.
I just thought that
It
was
was like your 7-year-old self was just like, Mom, put the Righteous Brothers on. So should we talk about Sandra Oh for a minute?
Yes, please.
Principal Gupta.
Vice Principal Gupta.
Sorry, Vice
Gupta.
Gupta.
So, first question. Did they write the role for an Indian woman and then they're like, Chinese is close enough?
I don't know.
Or, like, of course, she could be married to someone with that name, but given other choices that this movie made, I feel like they're like, whatever, one brown's as good as another.
Oh my god. Yeah, I could see it going either way.
Sandra Oh.
Very good actress.
Talented woman.
Super talented. I've seen her
Let me
in
preface
so
the terrible
many
things I'm going to say with very talented.
Yes.
She gave a performance that was akin to an extra who finally gets one line, and they've been waiting 23 years of like waiting tables to just get this one line, and they're gonna fucking give it everything.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing in this, and it was bizarre.
It is bizarre.
I don't know what movie she thought she was in.
It wasn't this one.
But maybe if everyone was bigger, it wouldn't seem so crazy. But she was like doing silent film type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, she was going way too hard.
It was like a Three Stooges skit with her. Also, why isn't she just the principal? That's just a weird little thing. I guess it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
But what did you think about her?
She definitely is going for something, like you said. She's really going for something. It's too much for me, and it is a little sad to see Sandra Oh, who we know from other things where she's incredible. So I think it's a character from the book that they were like, oh, we're just going to jazz it up a little.
I'm at a loss for words as to what was happening there. Maybe she has a funny story about what happened, but like I did this one movie where after the takes we got, they'd always say, the director said, like, do like a big silly one, and then I'd do something wacky. And it's just like, just for fun, because it's fun to do those types of things.
Yeah.
And then I'm not involved in editing, and then I see the movie, and they took all the wacky ones.
Really?
So then I have this performance. It's like, I did not give that performance, but I guess I kind of did.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what happened here. I think they must have told Sandra Oh that it's a silent film, and it's theater, and she's in the back of the stage. So that's why she's going so big.
She's really emoting to try and make it to the front of the stage.
I could hear her emote facially.
Her facial emotions. Okay, so maybe we should talk about Joe.
Joe, my boy, Hector Elizondo.
Yeah.
Hector Elizondo plays the same role in Pretty Woman. Have you seen Pretty Woman?
No.
Man, we should watch Pretty Woman. Again, probably shouldn't be something I was watching. When I was like 16, I thought Pretty Woman was fantastic.
Really?
It might still be very good.
Oh.
But so many of these characters are in it, and Hector Elizondo plays the one person from this world that Julia Roberts is being thrust into that shows her respect and kindness while everyone else is very mean and harsh to her.
Right.
So the same role.
Okay, yeah.
And he's good at it.
He is. He plays such a good, like, stern on the outside, soft on the inside guy.
Yeah. I thought he was great. He might have been my favorite performance. Probably not my favorite character because he doesn't have enough to do, really.
Right,
But
yes.
I think he was solid.
But he definitely serves a purpose.
Yes.
And he serves that purpose really well and, like, seamlessly.
Yeah, he does what a great supporting actor should do. He does his work, doesn't detract from the main story, and adds to it where he can. Like, sure, he doesn't have this big arc of his own, but he's in service of the main plot better than most of the other side characters are.
True. Very true. And, like, didn't you want, like, a Joe in your life?
Who doesn't?
I think that he played that character very well. It made you instantly love him. And he never has a moment where he's mean.
Yeah.
He is sometimes stern with them. He's sometimes kind of like, he has a tone. There's one point in the movie where he's like, maybe if there are no more passengers, we can close the door. But he does it in a way that is still like soft and friendly and like appropriate way to talk to children.
Yeah, he's stern but kind.
Yes. And I appreciate that. He was definitely one of my favorite people in this movie.
He knew what he was going for and did it,
yes.
while a lot of the other performances are confused.
Yeah. He is a very carved out role.
Because Elizondo, you know what he is? A fucking professional.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the final person that we should talk about is Queen Clarice Rinaldi.
Mary Poppins herself.
Yeah. Maria from Sound of Music. I love Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews is probably one of my favorite childhood actors.
That makes sense. She's done like so many great movies that, especially if you're like theatrically inclined, yes. You're really going to love.
Yeah, like I love Sound of Music. It was something that I watched as a child over and over and over again. And I still continue to watch to this day.
Yeah, it is my third favorite Nazi-based musical.
Oh my god. I would put The Producers in there too.
Producers the second.
Oh, it's your second?
Cabaret first.
You
know what? Switch it. Cabaret, Sound of Music, Producers.
Oh, okay. I got to see Producers on Broadway, and it was incredible. Back to Julie Andrews, who is not in The Producers. So, Queen Clarice, what did you think of her? What was your initial impression?
This is another one where I don't think it went far enough either way. Of course, Julie Andrews was great. She commands the screen when she's on there. But I think she should have come out as a harsher role model or like trainer or whatever she is at the beginning. And then when we have that bit where she's warming up to her and when she goes on that day out doing all of Mia's stuff.
Yes.
That's a great scene. That's a great sequence. Maybe one of the best parts of the movie, I thought.
Yeah, it was fun.
But it would have been so much more rewarding if they were more at odds with each other. Like, of course they were, but I thought Queen Clarice was nice the whole time. Like, sure, she's, like, prim and proper and doesn't exude warmth.
Yes.
But I think it would have been more effective if she was very cold and very strong-willed right from the beginning. And then when we see her gradually warm up, it's that much more rewarding. And we're kind of going on this journey with Mia. And it's just another element to show like the odds against Mia.
Yes.
And I think that would have been much more effective than just having her be like, kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm just going to keep saying it, but in the book, she definitely has that arc.
They should have just held to the book, then, it seems like.
I know, they should have.
I think that's very telling when someone like me who, sure, not in love with a lot of movies like this, but I feel like I know plot structure.
Yeah.
If I'm saying they should do this, and you're always going, oh yeah, they did that in the book. If they had the source material that had it, they clearly had talented people working on this. Directing, I don't know who the screenwriters in that were, but it's a Disney movie. You're going to have some talent. I don't see why they couldn't have made these choices that were already made for them. Yeah.
Yeah. And because it's like a 6 or 7 book series, like there's a lot of source material to pull from.
Is this like mashing a bunch of books down?
This is the first book.
Oh, okay. So then there's no excuse.
Yeah. The second movie is like way farther down in the book lines because she's like an adult, and there is quite a few of the first couple books are like her in high school still.
Okay.
And it's a lot more back and forth and like on again off again stuff. So this second movie I think is more like 6 and 7.
Okay.
Whereas this one is just the first book.
And there's so much room to put those things in because I did feel like a lot of those school scenes were completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
And they really wasted an opportunity with the whole training stuff. If they had her be like more strict and play that to comedic effect, and then you'd have the irony of former Eliza Doolittle because Julie Andrews played Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady in everything except the movie, which was a big thing. And then they didn't give the Oscar to Audrey Hepburn because she didn't sing, but she could have sang. She thought she was singing, but I'll defend Audrey Hepburn later. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, they wasted the opportunity to have Eliza Doolittle turn into the Henry Higgins and do the training of Anne Hathaway.
Yes.
That would have been so fun. They could have even, made a few little references to it.
Yes, yeah, play it up.
And just have that dynamic, the Higgins-Doolittle dynamic, where she is, in pain going through this training. Mm-hmm. It would have been funny, because Anne Hathaway demonstrates, at a young age in this, she has comedic timing. Mm-hmm. She's good at that physical comedy.
Yes.
I think it's just a wasted opportunity.
I agree.
Those could have been some really funny scenes and really charming scenes. And if they were more harsh, it would only make her warming up to her seem that much more fulfilling. Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's a fun fact about the movie. Fat Louie is Anne Hathaway's pet in real life.
Oh, Fat Louie, I said, was my favorite character.
I think Fat Louie at the end with the tiara on.
That was gold.
Amazing.
I love Fat Louie. And then my second favorite character, I think, was Mr. Robitasan. Is that his name?
Yes.
That neighbor who is a washed-up old writer. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
They have these little funny one-offs that seem from a different movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying, don't put those in. I just want more of that wackiness, I think.
Yeah.
My other favorite character was in the dinner sequence. There's a man who's a shorter, balder East Asian man who's next to the queen.
Yes, the stern-looking one, yeah.
He's kind of a clueless kind of guy that things happen and he just kind of reacts to them. He was brilliant.
Oh, that was so funny.
That was the funniest stuff in the movie.
Also, when Queen Clarice is looking at the pictures of the guy on the other side of her, of his kids, and then she asks if the Chinese guy wants to look at them, and he's like, no.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That's such a, that's the response that everyone wishes that they could give in that situation.
And there was some sequence when things are flying all over the place because Mia's tripping and stuff, and food somehow, bounces off a wall and lands on his plate, and he just looks up, trying to think of see where the food came from, and can't figure it out, and is just quietly impressed, and then continues eating. That guy was good. He was very good.
He was very good. I enjoyed him a lot.
Also in that scene, there's the second role that Sikh men are allowed to have in movies in the 2000s. You can either be... Oh, no, you can get 3. We get 3 roles. We can be cab drivers. Uh-huh. Oh, no, 4. Convenience store workers. Uh-huh. Terrorists, because they can't tell which kind of turban means what.
Right.
And when there's a scene of people from around the world at a fancy ball, they put one guy in a turban, and they're like, look, international. Yeah. So there was one guy in this, and it's oh, that's the role I could have played.
That's very true, though. It's funny to see all of the different cultures they tried to smash in there into some of those ball scenes, because it's very clearly them just trying to show diversity.
Yeah, and not doing the best job of it.
Also, the entire royal court of Genovia flew to San Francisco. Who was it in Genovia?
That country, I don't know how they run things over there. So if your princess just doesn't want to do it, you go out of business? They kind of made it sound like it's a business.
They explained that poorly, but it sounds like that bloodline no longer has the throne, and it goes to the next cousins, which would have been the Baron von Trocken or whatever.
Yes, and we can tell they're bad. You know how?
Because they look crazy.
Because they're ugly. And we've learned the biggest sin is ugliness.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie, and it has such a double meaning that I don't think I got when I was 14, but that was when the Prime Minister stood up and did a toast to the Baron and the Baroness and said, "May you always be Baron." Yeah,
that was funny.
And you can see the actors both thinking is this an insult? I enjoyed the Prime Minister and his wife as well.
Oh, yeah, they were kind of funny.
They were fun. They seemed nice. They seemed...
And how the Prime Minister gets up and sings the national anthem.
Yes. Okay, that national anthem is amazing. I enjoyed it. if we watch the second one, you'll get to hear it in all its glory, and it actually works really well.
And then they eat ice cream out of sympathy at that one point?
Yeah. I think it's trying to make the prime minister and his wife, like, seem non-noble, like they're normal people, so they're still trying to, like, learn all the customs of dining with royalty.
Right.
And I liked that. I appreciated that not everyone was, like, the Von Trappens or whatever their name was. Trocken? Von Trocken.
I don't know.
When they weren't all snooty and, like, uppity.
The reporters in this world are the worst reporters ever. So, like, the first question when they find out, like, what? You're going to be a princess? Who's your favorite actor?
Yeah.
That was the first question. And I love when they shout to the surfer guy, give her a big sloppy long one.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't like the central problem of this movie. No, I like the should I be a princess or not, the makeover part. That's all fine, and I like that. But them manufacturing all this paparazzi stuff and having the bullies, like, pull up a tent so you can see her naked, having that guy, like, forcibly kiss her and rub his feet, all of that I had no interest in. I think it detracted from the, like, actual story that I wanted to see about Mia becoming the princess.
Yeah, I agree. That could have just all been skipped.
What do we learn from all of that? We don't learn anything about anyone. We knew the bullies were bullies. We knew the press is bad. It would have been better if, rather than her accidentally kind of wronging her friend and a guy who's interested in her, but she didn't know it, like, if she did go in with that crowd and then realized that they were bad.
Yeah.
But they just didn't go far enough into anything. So even in her standing up the supposed nice guy, it didn't seem like a big deal to me because she goes and watches him, like, pretty much every week.
Yeah. It didn't seem like a special date.
And she asked, didn't she?
Is
Is this a date? And he said no.
That's what I was thinking when we were watching it, because she's like, did the thing that you're supposed to do when you're, like, kind of vague about an invite. You're like, is this a date? And he says, no, it's just hanging out. So then, yeah, I would feel okay to cancel too.
Yeah. If someone else is asking you on a date and you go watch this guy in his mechanic garage play every week, yeah, take a night off. No big deal. She did cancel on her friend without telling her, though.
Yes,
so that's kind of a shitty part.
That was shitty, and I didn't enjoy that.
But at least that's something that's a learning experience and she grows from. They needed more of that. She should have done more wrong or done something that she has to, like, make amends for and learn and grow from. But there just wasn't much of that. We have the bullies were mean to her and she realizes, hey, those people that I hated this whole time, I still hate them.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't much need for all of that. There were just a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about regarding the book, because I think you, even though it was a long time ago, you might know. Like, we talked about how Book Mia was more complex and maybe a stronger-willed character than this one.
Yes.
But there's side characters that I looked at in the book that no longer exist, and let's see if you can find out what all of these characters have in common that have been replaced. There's Shamika Taylor, Ling Su, and Tina Hakim Baba. They took out all the colored people.
Yeah.
That's why I said them just making Gupta Chinese, because they're all the same to us.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem that far-fetched when the only characters you took out are those ones. That's it's pretty easy to put some of those side characters in at a school.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with the amount of time that we spend at the school.
Yeah, unnecessarily. That school. I don't understand how this school works.
Right.
You have the same group of people if you're playing baseball or if you're doing debate, and you just kind of, like, all move in a group. You're in the same room, and they're like, okay, now let's play baseball. And then you have, like, teenage boys and teenage girls playing baseball against each other and debating each other. And everyone that goes to that school is, like, a side character from West Side Story, because whenever somebody's talking, they all, like, jump behind them and are like, yeah, and, like, posing and stuff, like they're doing publicity stills for a musical. It's a strange world they live in.
And this school is a magical school, but not like Hogwarts. It's just a strange combination of musical and perplexing.
I like how they do grading in their gym class, because if you strike out, you fail. It's completely performance-based.
Yeah. Yeah, and you only have to catch a ball once to pass.
Yeah. If you hit this ball, you pass. If you don't, you fail. And you're like, okay, well.
Gym was like participation based, right?
Yeah.
Not your skill at sports.
You can't. I would have loved if they did it the other way, but you can't do that.
No, because I would have failed. I would have failed gym all the time because I am not good at gym.
Also, their gym class had cheerleaders, so you could have been one of the cheerleaders that cheers on.
That is how I passed gym, was that I did cheer gym, because we had our own gym at my high school, so we could have our own class off to the side away from all the regular gym.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that's how I passed when everyone else was playing baseball. I just cheered them on.
No, I was actually with the other cheerleaders doing cheer gym.
Another funny little thing that I'm 80% sure is correct is in the sequence at the dinner, a part of her food goes flying and an old man catches it and says, happens all the time.
That is not correct. She clinks on her glass and breaks it.
Okay.
And she says, and then she's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
And he says it happens all the time.
Yeah, which is a same guy from Pretty Woman.
Yeah, so in Pretty Woman, she's eating like a big snail. It goes flying and he catches it and goes, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, same guy. There's a lot of Pretty Woman in
That's
this movie.
so strange.
But Pretty Woman is quite good.
But it's the same director, right?
Yeah.
So he just brought in some actors for, like, bit parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Garry Marshall is great.
Is he?
I love Garry Marshall. I feel like I should have a Garry Marshall impression. He's like one of those guys, like, if you've probably seen him and don't know that he's the same director, because he's actually has more acting roles than
Really?
he does directing. But he did do a lot of those shitty movies at the end of his career. The, like, New Year's Day, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. And those are all garbage. I hate them so much.
Right.
But Garry Marshall is quite good. And there's some other movies he did that I love more than Pretty Woman. But now I can't think of what they are. He's also Penny Marshall's brother.
Oh.
Who directed A League of Their Own, which we did an episode on a while back. Check it out. But there was a lot of Pretty Woman references, which was fun.
I just looked up a picture of him, and I do recognize him from movies.
And you can hear his voice, right?
I'm pretty sure I can, yeah.
See, I can't do that voice. If I do it, it kind of sounds racist, so I'm not going to do it.
Oh, he's not alive anymore.
No.
Oh.
I think he died a few years ago.
In 2016, yeah.
Yeah, and his last stuff was garbage, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Those movies, those day movies, are so bad. They're like American Love Actuallys. Have you seen any of those?
Oh, like Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
New Year's Day. Yeah, I've seen them.
So bad.
They're so bad. They're like, let's jam pack as many stars as we can into one movie.
And just have one quick, terrible storyline for each of them.
Yeah.
Like Love Actually.
Like Love Actually. Ugh, Love Actually.
We did a good episode on that.
We
Go back
did.
and listen to it.
That's one that we have like the most people commenting about too. Is like, you didn't love Love Actually? Or like, you guys are totally right. Love Actually is the worst.
So throughout this, you've been agreeing with me a lot.
Yes.
So do you get what I meant when I said, I fear the more we talk about it, the less we'll like it?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and that's a shame because
it's a fun movie to watch.
And it's so close to being quite good.
Great. Yeah.
But I just don't think they made the right choices in a lot of places.
I think I still love it for partly a nostalgic value. Like,
of course,
I love this book. I remember being so excited and telling my mom how excited I was that it was becoming a movie and that it was going to have Julie Andrews in it, and like loving it when I got to see it and being so excited that there was a sequel. So like, I feel like some of my love is just like nostalgia for when I first saw this and loved it.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles 2, not good. I still love it though.
Exactly. But I do agree with you on most of your points.
There's a ninja rap.
Can you do it?
I can.
Oh, maybe we'll do that at the end. I still love this movie. I do agree with you. It is flawed and it is of a time. But I would say everyone should watch it.
Yeah, I think the only way you might love this movie is if you just love that premise or if you saw it when it came out. I think it's going to be hard for you to go into it watching it for the first time now and love it.
True.
I think you could watch it now and be like, oh yeah, that was fun.
It was cute. Yeah.
But I think it's going to be hard for this generation of kids to love it. Maybe there are a bunch of kids out there who are watching it for the first time and falling in love with it. I think it's possible. I know most of the like young teens I know, I don't think they would like it,
Yeah. It's like a younger movie.
Mm-hmm. I do love the very beginning setup of why we don't know the husband, because the mom wanted her to live like a nice normal life in a fire station that probably costs like $3 million in San Francisco.
And go to private school.
Just a nice normal life. But yeah, I think ultimately I can't give it like a hard recommendation. I think it's good in that it launched the career of Anne Hathaway, who I do think is very charming, and I feel like her natural charisma that kind of borders on both charming and relatable in her awkwardness. She brings that through, and I think that's great for this movie, because I don't think I would be able to watch it without her, because she's like the heart of the movie, right? Of course. She's in pretty much every scene. So if you had a less capable person in that role, it would be a bad movie.
It would be a bad movie.
But you have her coming from nowhere doing great. You have like professionals like Julie Andrews and Hector Elizondo, and then some like fun little side stuff too. So that can carry you through. I do think it drags. I think there's too much of the school stuff. I think there's not enough of the interesting things. Like, ultimately, it's kind of a Pygmalion or a My Fair Lady that's uneven and can probably win over a lot of people of a certain age. That's just a bunch of, like, wish fulfillment of, I could be that, but I think that's not enough to sustain it, and it doesn't have enough extra to the wish fulfillment of it. So I'm going to say it's fine. Give it a watch, but not one of my favorites, that's for sure.
Something I just looked up, if you want to listen to the books, Anne Hathaway has done an audiobook reading of them.
Oh.
Yeah, so you get to kind of have the continuity between the movie and the books.
Maybe I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah, I just borrowed it actually because it's been years since I've listened to that. So, Indy, when we remember to do them, we like to give recommendations on if you liked this movie, you might also like another movie. So, do you have any recommendations for fans of this movie?
Well, I think Pretty Woman is a adult, better version of this movie, so that's definitely one. I think My Fair Lady is the same story. It's Pygmalion all over again, but I think that one's probably more acceptable to younger ages, and it holds up. It's hilarious. My Fair Lady is so good still. But if you want just the charm of Anne Hathaway, maybe go watch Ella Enchanted.
That is a good one.
Or is it Amy Adams or Rachel McAdams in Enchanted?
It's Amy Adams.
That one. Enchanted is like a fun, charming movie, but it's like a twist on all of that kind of thing.
Because it's set in the real world, which is hilarious.
And I think there's a sequel to that coming out. So those are my recommendations. What would you recommend to fans of Princess Diaries?
Well, Indy.
Yes.
As we've already talked about, there is a sequel to this movie.
Oh.
So, Indy, we're going to break protocol, royal protocol.
Oh.
And we are going to skip the pre-episode for this and just do Princess Diaries 2.
Next week. All right. Well, you heard it here. Watch Princess Diaries 2, The Reckoning, and we're going to talk about it next week. What's the subtitle to it?
Princess Diaries 2, The Royal Wedding.
Oh, is that actually it?
Yes.
Oh.
So it is available on Disney Plus, and probably at your local library.
Nice. Since we're not doing a pre-episode, I'm not going to do all my big predictions, but I predict there will be a royal wedding.
Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't.
I don't know. Actually, with the title, I think I can predict the whole plot, but I'm not going to because that's not fun for anyone except me. And we want to thank our other sponsor this week, because this episode is brought to you by Taproot Edmonton, which publishes curiosity-driven stories, topical newsletters, and locally focused podcasts, kind of like us, all in the service of informing Edmontonians about their community. Because we, of course, are based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
We are.
So they publish all sorts of things, like there's a business roundup, a tech one, but I want to spotlight the arts roundup because that's kind of in line with what we are interested in. So they have a weekly arts roundup, and it gathers up what's happening locally in theater, dance, visual arts, literary stuff, and it's curated by Fonda Mithrush, who, can we say good friend of ours?
Yes, even though we haven't met her in person.
We've spoken to her a couple times. She's great. And she's a veteran of Edmonton's art scene and co-host of the I Don't Get It podcast, which is also here on the Alberta Podcast Network. So you can subscribe to the Arts Roundup or the tech or business ones all at the same place, and that is at taprootedmonton.ca. And next week, you can join us right back here where we will be discussing The Princess Diaries 2, Rise of the Blood Queen. Is that what it was?
No.
It's something like that. Royal Wedding.
Yeah, different.
We're going to talk about that next week, and we're going to do a full episode on it. We're doing a two-parter for Samantha. It'll be all spoilers, so make sure you watch Princess Diaries 2 by then.
Or else you will not know what we're talking about.
Or you can just tune in to listen to the sounds of our voices.
I've heard we're very soothing to listen to.
Are we? I doubt it. I would not want to listen to me.
My best friend Kim has been sending me messages because she's doing a full listen.
Oh, wow.
And she's watching all the movies, too.
Oh, good on her.
Yeah, so Kim, if you've made it this far, good job.
Well, if she's starting at the beginning, it's going to be a while before she gets here.
So she just
future
finished...
Kim, good job. How about them flying cars? It's a shame we all have to work in the robot salt mines now, huh?
She's at Cheer. That's where she is in our library. So she's working her way through. So we love our listeners. Give us some love on the social media.
I thought you were going to say, give us some money because you listen for free. No. You freeloaders.
Give us some love on social media and tell us what your favorite movies we've done are, or if you have any suggestions for future movies we should do.
I'm not taking your suggestions. Samantha might. I'm picking my movies. You can tell me to watch Rabbit Proof Fence all you want. I've seen it. It's good. I'm not talking about it. Not today, at least.
That was targeted.
I get a lot of other ones as well.
So
why don't you do The Warriors? I'm not doing The Warriors. Maybe like season 6, I'll get to The Warriors.
Perfect. What are we, season 3 now?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can find us on Facebook at I Love This You Should Too -podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at ILTYS and the number 2. You can email us your long form love letters at I Love This You Should and the number 2 @gmail.com, or you can find us on the Alberta Podcast Network website.
And be sure to review us, because I think we have one review ever. Which I'm looking at you because it's not yours.
Oh, okay.
You better review us.
I'm going to review you.
All right. Well, until next time, all glory to Hypnotoad.
I don't know who Hypnotoad is, but we will see you next week. Get your tiaras ready. Bye.
My name is Indy, down with the tyrant he's... No?
Are you changing your name?
Oh, maybe. We never talked about it.
No, we didn't.